All right, better or worse Big Ten offenses. Now, might ruffle some feathers here, and that's okay. I am not necessarily basing this on if a team. So I'm kind of basing this off of two things. Number one, I'm trying to look at the stats from last year and say, well, they have better stats, number one. And then number two, do I feel like the personnel is better than what they had last year? So I'm trying to kind of go at this from two different angles. It was really hard to pick the worst teams because I do think nearly every Big Ten team did improve their personnel in one or two ways. It was really, really difficult for me to put worse for Indiana, for example, but I think you look at how crazy Indiana was stat-wise last year. I mean, they were like on par with LSU in 2019 type of stats. It was just completely insane what they were able to do. Now, they very well could do that again. So at the very best, it's probably a push. But that was my thought, was like, if it's not, like, if I don't see the possibility of better at all in the stats, because I don't think they're going to be better than they were stat-wise this next year, then I almost have to say worse. Right? Maryland, new starting quarterback. What's going on there? They lost Ty Felton. The offensive line could be better. I like Nolan Ray, but I am concerned just with the youth and how young that team is. So I said worse there. Minnesota, it's mainly worse because you're losing Dale Jackson and Max Brosmer. I don't think I'm going out on a bad limb here. Darius Taylor, A.J. Turner, I love the running back combo, but Daniel Jackson and Max Brosmer were just that good to me. And then Oregon, I have as worse. Dylan Gabriel is really good. Evan Stewart is out now. There's different stuff here. The offensive line won't be as cohesive as maybe it was last year, but who knows? They could still be better. We'll see. And then Rutgers. Rutgers loses Kyle Monungai. I know they bring back Athan Kaliakmanis, and I know they have Ian Strong and DT Sheffield, but I think at the end of the day, Greg Schiano wants to run the ball. And I'm not saying I don't believe in their running backs now, but it's mainly a nod to Kyle Monungai and say just how good he really was. Rutgers was probably the one I was the most iffy on to say they were worse. So it would not surprise me at all if they're better. I'm going to open up the chat now and see how much they're roasting me. Zach, you go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, just a question about Rutgers. I'm trying to remember, how much of are they returning on their offensive line?
They're returning a pretty good amount, if I am correct. I can look it up really fast, but they're returning a good amount.
Yeah, because I'm a huge Kyle Monungai fan. I could see a world though where if that offensive line continues to improve, that might negate what they lost in Kyle Monungai. So I don't know. I might push a little bit with Rutgers and say it might be even. I think that receiving core continues to be slept on all across the board. And I think another year in the system that might make Rutgers better. But they may not
agree with what I'm saying though about like the pass game and the run game, how Greg Schiano leans so much more on the run game. Like I agree with you. The wide receivers are really good and everything, but I don't know if Greg Schiano is fully going to utilize that. Maybe I'm wrong.
No. But my point is actually, like, they'll have a running back rotation, and I think the offensive line could build continuity. Jeff makes a good comment here in terms of IU. They'll be worse because the schedule is harder. I think that's probably true with Rutgers as well. Like, I think statistically they might be worse because of that. But I wonder, like, I think the offensive line could make up what is lacking without Kyle Monungai. That's just my thought. I am going to pick on our fandom a little bit with Ohio State because I understand why you might say they're better. But I just think new quarterback, new coordinator, new offensive tackles. I get that they're raving about Sarafeld and Phillip Daniels and Oinawa. I get that. I get that you have all these shiny new toys. I think by the end of the season they might be better, or mid-season they might be better. I'm not sure they're going to be better than a year ago, than playoff version Ohio State in the beginning of the season. That's just my thought. Other than that, I like where you have this. Like Illinois, obviously they bring back a ton. They're really high in their receiver room, as you mentioned earlier. Like Luke Altmaier was giddy at Big Ten Media Days about his receiver room. So, and that was with reference to Pat Bryant. So I think there's a lot of excitement there. Iowa, just by not having Cade McNamara as the starter, has to be better on offense. Michigan, again, because they don't have the quarterbacks they had a year ago starting, has to be better. I think Michigan State, Aiden Childs being, another year in the system, has to be better. I think you hit on a lot of those. I think the ones that I mentioned, those are my main thoughts.
So I will give my Ohio State thought really fast, and I'm not saying it's perfect, but here's just my thought, okay? Because I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, because I could have gone either way on Ohio State, but I think Jeremiah Smith is going to be that much better. Number one, I think Carnell Tate is another future first round pick like Emeka Ibuka was, and I think Brandon Inniss is going to be closer to that than Carnell Tate was last year. I know that's a bit of a hot take, but he's had more leadership and he's been a better run blocker, so I think he's going to impact things from there. I also look at the tight end position for Ohio State. It makes a difference when you have the best tight end in college football, which, by the way, I don't know if anybody saw it, but ESPN put out All-American, first team All-American. They put the Vanderbilt tight end above Max Clare. That is ridiculous. Anyway, I don't want to have another aneurysm here on the show, but Max Clare to me is a huge piece there. I know they lost Josh Simmons. I know they lost Seth McLaughlin and Donovan Jackson, but I think you saw the depth of that offensive line, and you're seeing a lot of those guys have more experience now. And I think that's going to help a lot. My biggest thing is the running backs. The quarterbacks, my hot take is that Ohio State will do a better job of taking care of the football than they did under Will Howard. I don't know if they'll quite have the stats that Will Howard did, especially from an efficiency standpoint with the completions and everything else. But Will Howard's biggest thing was that he turned the ball over far too much. And I don't think Julian Sand or Lincoln Kienholz is going to do that as much. Now, they might struggle in the red zone a little bit more, but, for me, Ohio State was a push. I could have gone either way with it slightly. So,
no.
All right. You have a comment?
Just to be fair, the Vanderbilt tight end is Eli Stowers. He had a pretty good season last year. So I'm not arguing for him above Max Clare, but I'm here to be a voice of reason tonight.
Okay. Thank you for your voice of reason. You can stop being a voice of reason now. All right, so if I had to name my most improved offenses, the ones that I'm like surefire, they are better. I feel way better about them this year. Not like better as in they were bad. Well, some of them were bad, but just way better because of the way things are gonna improve for them. I feel better about Michigan, UCLA, Michigan State, Wisconsin, and Illinois. You have any argument with those five?
No, I mean, I think what you're targeting is better quarterback play, more continuity. And those are the things that are important. It's like quarterback play, offensive line play, continuity.
Yeah. And I mean, I think Billy Edwards is going to be a huge improvement over Braden Locke, Nico Iamaleava. I don't think Ethan Garbers was bad last year, but I think they're going to trust Nico a little bit more. Bryce Underwood is a definite improvement over Davis Warren. There's rumors out there that Davis Warren is last on the depth chart in that quarterback room right now, which is just insane. But that's the way things are. I think Luke Altmaier is going to take a big step, not just be a gamer this year, but and not to say that in a bad way. Luke Altmaier was really, really good last year, but he's going to have more command of the offense and stuff like that, I think. Any other offenses that you'd want to mention as big improvers?
Do you mention Nebraska?
I did not.
I think Nebraska does have a chance to really light people up if Raiola takes a second year leap with Hunter, Dane Key. I forget the third receiver that you mentioned last episode.
Ja'Cory Barney.
Yeah, Barney.
Yeah, freshman last year, had a really good season.
Yeah, I think they are positioned to be much more effective offensively.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I would have probably put Nebraska in there over Wisconsin, but again, I have a rule in my life. I can't trust Nebraska. Sorry, Nebraska fans. I just can't trust it until I see it.
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay, I have the stuff here for the Rutgers offensive line, and then we'll move on. So Holland Pierce, they lost. Did they lose Asamoah? I believe they lost. Nope, Asamoah's so. Back.
Okay.
Asamoah Zelinskas is back. Felter is back. Needham is back. I think Felter was the one that got injured early on.
Okay.
And then Taj White. So yeah, I mean, pretty much everybody is back except Holland Pierce.
Which Holland Pierce is a big loss for them. Like, he was a leader in that room. But
he's one of the best offensive linemen in the Big Ten last year.
Yeah, I mean, so big loss, but a lot of guys coming back. I don't know, man. I just think and I'm not high on Rutgers this year, but that's more about schedule. I wonder if this could be the most balanced offense that Rutgers has had since Schiano's been back.
Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. I mean, it depends on how they utilize the passing game, right? You know, does Kirk Soraka start to trust Athan Kaliakmanis a little bit more? Does he begin to get a little bit more accurate? You know, sometimes I felt like, I mean, one thing about Athan Kaliakmanis, he does do a pretty good job of throwing the ball away when he's in trouble, not taking negative plays, which is good, but it also just makes his efficiency numbers that much worse. And he needs to do a better job of, you know, trying to get the ball out quicker so that way he doesn't have to do that. But it's his second year in the system, so who knows? Maybe it'll be better.